Good evening, everyone. My name is Royal Lee. Great to have everyone here today. We got a fabulous guest here, and I'm passing right over to my man Adam.
What's up, guys? My name is Adam. You can find me on Threads at I am Adam Jeremy, and I'm very excited, looking forward to this podcast with Taylor and Bruno.
Today, for our guests, we have the lovely Taylor Garrey and Bruno. We're actually going to start with Taylor. So, Taylor, I'm going to kick it off to you. Introduce yourself. Let us know who you are, what you do, all that good stuff, my friend.
Bet. All right, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you good.
All right, cool. I am Taylor Garrey, and on Threads, it's also Taylor Garrey. I might change it in the future, but we'll see. And yeah, what else do I got to introduce?
So let us know a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, okay. So I'm 29. I'm married. I have a 1-year-old daughter. I live in Arizona, and I work in the drug and alcohol recovery scene. So I help people get sober who are struggling, and I thread. So and I'm also full-time in school. So I got a lot of shit going on, but I don't know. Threads is just place.
How do you do all of that and you're able to keep up with Threads? Now that's a real hustle right there. I love to hear that.
Yeah,
I did not know that that was your career choice. Personally, what made you want to get into that as a career choice to help people with their sobriety and everything like that?
So I got sober at 21 years old. And I started doing drugs, and I had a drinking problem around 11 or 12 is when I started. So a lot of people are like, damn, that's really young. And it is, right? Like looking back. And I had a decent life growing up, but I don't know. I was always seeking like a thrill or the next best thing or to feel comfortable. Like I always felt like anxious or uncomfortable, like from my earliest memories. So then when I got sober, I went into sales, and I wasn't like really trying to get into the recovery field because on my free time, I also help people get sober. And I'm answering calls, like people in the past that used to do drugs with me, they would call me and I would help them get off of it. But for me, it's like, I don't know, I think it's God or something drove me into this place where people reached out to me and they were like, hey, it started in public speaking. Because I went and shared at this um, mentorship, like to a bunch of kids, like 12 to 16-year-olds about my drug story. And this one lady was there and she's like, hey, put your 2 weeks in at your sales job. I think I was working at like Verizon at the time selling phones. And she's like, you're going to be a public speaker. And like, we're hiring you today. And that was the scariest shit ever because like public speaking, and I had to speak in front of like thousands of high school students in like the gym and everything. And basically, I've just built my way from there. Like I was making no money doing it, barely enough to get by, and I was single at the time and didn't have a kid, so it was easier. But then I've worked my way up to community outreach, and the reason why I'm at my parents right now and not on my computer Discord is because I just took a job. If you saw my post on Threads, and I'm getting promoted to director. So basically, I travel around Arizona and promote this treatment center
That's
to
awesome.
other treatment
Are you?
centers. Like, let's say they can't do something, we take them, right?
That's awesome. So you're from Arizona, is what you mentioned?
Yeah, born and raised.
That's dope. Did you know Noel's also from Arizona, and so is Mon?
No way.
Yeah, yeah. It's fun fact. Fun fact. But
Still
that's
in Arizona?
I believe so. I believe so. I'm
Oh,
pretty sure that's
damn.
what
The
Noel
party's
told
going
me
to go down
yesterday.
in AZ then.
Yeah, apparently. But
Welcome
yeah,
to the heat.
facts. I'm gonna shout out Noel right now. He told me his Tesla burnt out because the heat.
The
That's
battery did?
insane.
The
What the
Wow.
hell?
the control panel, like the screen.
Oh,
That's
that's
crazy.
insane.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, that's dope, Taylor. I love it. And I also have a past with sobriety, so I feel you on that. And it's cool how you can turn a negative into a positive, and I love that for you. What's
Thank
one
you.
thing? What's one thing you're looking forward to going forward with that field?
So basically, so before I took this job, I actually wasn't going to take the job for a while because I was building my own treatment center. I had the business plan done. I was going to open one up myself in Arizona with my brother-in-law, who would be the investor, and he was going to fund it. But basically, I mean, it still might happen. but not putting any heat on him or any, bad talk on him, but he's super busy in his life, and he's a lawyer, so he's like, doing stuff all the time, and we kind of haven't gone forward with it because we were going to buy the building. So moving forward, the ultimate goal is to open my own treatment center, but the way Threads is going, I don't know. I mean, I could do it through digital content creation. That's why I add, like, yeah, I post funny memes and shit, and I post like personal life because I think it's important to, be vulnerable also. And I post the motivation to kind of put that out there. Um,
Mhm.
so maybe I can channel it more into, mental health addiction down the road. And when I rap, that's usually what I rap about, mixed in there too. So I don't know. There's a lot of different ways I can go with my life, and I'm kind of always all over the place. If you can't tell through my threads.
So you rap? You said you also rap?
Yeah,
That's dope.
yeah,
That's
dope.
I love it.
I got a question for you because I
yeah.
can
What's up?
sense that you definitely have like a journey and that you share that openly within Threads. But I do want to ask, what's the best advice that you've received along that journey?
Oh, best advice. Let's see. I think a lot of it is I posted about it a lot. I post about fear a lot, walking through fear, right? Your
Mhm.
gut, we all have this like inner voice. We have multiple inner voices, right? Like in a sense, like when you should change or make a change for the positive, but most of the time we choose not to follow it, right? So really trusting your gut and doing it and doing the things that you don't want to do every day because that'll get you to that goal that you're seeking or to that state of being that you're seeking, if that makes sense. Because for me, I've always sought the easy road through drugs, through alcohol. I want to feel pleasure. I want to feel good all the time. But that's not life, right? Life is when you get up, you do the things you don't want to do throughout the day, and you face fear. And you can also get pleasure, but delayed gratification, in my opinion, is far more rewarding in the long run, right? So I would say face your fear, listen to your gut, right? Whatever your gut or your higher conscious is trying to tell you, listen to it. But it's not always easy, right? Because there's so many distractions, and Threads is obviously a huge distraction. But
100%,
Yes,
bro.
100% it is.
Amen.
no, I think the biggest thing is irrational fears, man. Don't listen to them, right?
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
for example, I'm sure some of you are nervous to be on here and run this right now. Like I was for a little bit too, but it's one of those things that's like, why? It's not going to kill you.
No, 100%. And
Um,
I think part of it too is, the first one. The first podcast we did. Oh, I was shaking, bro. This one, I'm actually way more vibey. I feel like way more calm. But the first one, I was like peeking right out the whole time. You could like hear it in my voice. I like barely wanted to talk.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, you've done public speaking, right? And anytime you do public speaking, there's a moment right before you go on stage where you're like questioning yourself. It's almost like instant imposter syndrome. Am I the right
Well,
person for this? Do I have to really use the bathroom
a
at this very
hundred
moment before I
percent,
go on
a
stage?
100%.
And as a performer, I think I learned really early on, or I didn't learn it. I just digested it as a part of the speech or a part
Well,
of the event. So I just accepted it and kind of was like, okay, it's getting close. So my stomach's going to start bubbling. I'm going to get the BGs right now, but it's going to go away as soon as I say the first three words.
it's so funny that you said that because you're spot on, right? People think with like celebrities and performers, rappers, bands, whatever, right? If you're in the public eye, even newscasters, like, choose your position out there. Um, Professional athletes, right? You always get nervous. I've done it 1,000 times. I spoke to 45,000 students in 3 years. And every time I'd be nervous, so nervous, like I was shaking, I was going to throw up. The first time I spoke, I did throw up before. But right when they hand you that mic, you're right, bro. It's gone. It's crazy. So it's just trust yourself, right?
Mhm.
I mean,
Yep.
yeah,
Get
that's
out
pretty
of
much
your
what I mean.
comfort
I
zone.
felt the same way because like I've been creating content for like over 10 years. My first like I want to say maybe like 100 videos, you could just tell I was acting like a bitch the entire time.
Mhm.
Every single time I was speaking into the microphone. And then now it's like, I get nervous before I turn on the camera, turn on the microphone and hit record. But then as soon as you go into it, like, you know, you write a script, you ad lib a little bit of it, and then you're just like, why the fuck am I scared of this? Especially after you're done and you click stop record and you're like, why was that such a huge fucking deal for me? I can't understand
Right.
why. It's like you never understand why. And like I used to be in a band when I was in like middle school and high school. We used to play in front of like small little crowds in like a garage and shit like that.
Nice.
And like always nervous the entire time, but I'm like, but when I'm up there, it's like you're in your fucking element. You think about all the shit that inspired you, all the bands. You're like, if these fuckers can do it in stadiums in front of like 25, 30,000 people and they don't even like shake even for a moment, then like it can't be that hard in front of like 10 or 15. There's just no
Right.
way.
No, I totally agree with you.
I
And
mean,
why do
like,
we feel like you're getting chased? Like, you know, there's that saying, like, we needed this type of fear for rational things back in the day,
exactly,
right?
exactly.
Because you were always getting hunted by animals. You had to hunt to eat to live. Like, the life was way different. But why do we still get that over simple things like social interaction, right? It's crazy.
Well, I mean, you know, as the world has changed, it's like we went from, by nature, I think we're supposed to be extroverted,
Mhm.
but as society's gotten more complex and as we've like learned a lot more about ourselves, we're more in tune with ourselves. Like back then, you know, our brains were just as big, but we were thinking in a one-track mindset. And then as we evolve and as we continue in life, it's just like, okay, things have gotten a little bit more extreme. We have to build our own homes. We have to pay for our own homes. We have to do this. We have to do that. So much interaction, this, that, yada, yada, yada. So it's just like now we have so many bells and whistles going off.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, I'm a little scared of this. I don't want to talk when I'm doing this. I'll talk when I'm doing this because I have to, not because I want to. So it's just like, as we learn more in life and we learn more about like how complex humans really are, it like kind of like messes with our biology in a sense. Taylor, I think you're actually in like a very fortunate position right now for what you do because you have so many avenues that you can go down. And like with how I see you on Threads, I think you're going to end up going down all of them in a sense. Like you can create Threads content, you could do like YouTube shorts, you could do TikToks, you could do reels, you could do so much shit because you're in like a
Mhm.
role. You're in a role in life where like, I mean, fuck, it hasn't been like in the last 5 years. That's when we've seen a lot of public speakers taking social media so much more seriously than they've ever taken it before.
Mhm.
And I think you have that chance to be in that avenue right now, especially with Threads because of how like there's so many health and wellness accounts. I'm friends with a lot of them, and like that's a huge thing on Threads. That's literally a huge thing for people. All the positivity, making people feel better, giving people advice on how to get better. So
Mhm.
you have that opportunity to take so many different
Yeah.
avenues, and you can do all of them. And especially with the advancement in AI, like ChatGPT and all this other shit, you can automate it to a certain degree, so you're not stretching yourself as thin as you would be if this was like 5 years ago, where like you have to write your own scripts, you have to come up with everything by yourself.
For sure. And that's something. Are you using AI at all, Taylor, or are you just going off the dome?
Bruh, I every everything I got a wild brain, right? And I think real quick to touch on what you said earlier about how I took my negative to a positive, like my
Yeah.
brain goes a million miles per hour
Same, bro.
and
Same.
everything I post, I mean everything, like the Wayne one I just posted, like when it was glitching out, I got it prepared. I had this meme from 2 days ago that I just save pictures when I think I can come up with something that's funny, and then I come up with the tagline like on spot, you know,
Yeah.
or whatever. So I try to think of relatable stuff. I try to think of positive stuff, what, you know, hits or whatnot. But yeah, it's all off the dome. I don't use any AI.
That's awesome.
Um, yeah.
Yeah, I think for my posts, if I were to structure like a post in Discord or something, I would use AI. But for like threads, I don't use AI at all. I also go off the dome or I pre-think it and save it for later.
What's your favorite thing about yourself?
Favorite thing about myself. Um, I'd say good dad is obviously the top um for me. And just being a dad, you know, I never it's big for me because I couldn't take care of myself, you know. I was like my own worst enemy to the highest degree. Like I shouldn't be alive right now. Um, so being a dad is by far like to a little girl, you know, is definitely the thing I love the most about myself. But if we're gonna talk about like a specific trait, I'd probably say never giving up, right?
Yeah.
Like there's times where I felt down. There's times where I felt like this is it. This is, I'm in the hospital bed because I overdosed, or there's this or there's that. But as long as I'm breathing, I'm gonna keep going, no matter what. And the more pressure I get on like the world, when life starts lifing, I start fighting, no matter what. So somehow I always get out of the ditch, right? And I think that's my favorite trait of me. Um, yeah, for sure.
That's beautiful, man. I
That's a lot of
appreciate that.
strength, you know. I think, you know, where you excel is you don't compare your struggle to anybody else's. You know, like they're tailored towards the person. So like I think that's why you've been able to come out of it every single time. Because you know that one person's struggle is going to be different from someone else's and from yours. You don't compare, but you do empathize and you sympathize with them. And like that is a good lesson that I think most addicts want. And I'm a former addict, so you know I definitely compared my struggle to a lot of people, and that was like my downfall
Mhm.
because you can't do that. It's like everybody's is different, and that's something that I feel like most people who are recovering, they don't know that lesson. And most of the time, people who do end up relapsing have pretty much proven by that relapse that they haven't learned that lesson yet.
Yeah, and
Mhm.
I also agree with that because I'm in the same boat as well.
I mean, it's very hard to compare. I mean, we live in a society full of comparisons. Everybody's comparing everybody to everyone. And especially with
Yes.
my generation specifically in this point in time, that's all we hear about is everybody comparing everything, you
Well,
know? It's like
even with
with
social media makes it 10 times worse as well.
Oh yeah. You can get
exactly.
real screwed up, man. And thankfully, like you were saying earlier, Threads is super positive. I mean, comparatively speaking, like TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, there's all the trolls, there's all the hate, and like a bunch, like almost everyone's pretty positive. I mean, I've blocked a fair share of people, trust me, but it's the haters on this app. Like social media is tough, but I hope this doesn't change because I heard Twitter was also pretty positive at the beginning. And then, when the floodgates open, it kind of goes downhill from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it does. It does. I was like on Twitter in the very early, I think I started my original account in like 2011. So that was like right before it really started to get bad. And like, I think the biggest problem with Twitter is it's like, especially now, they don't really have any boundaries whatsoever. Like none. And I don't know what it is about that platform, but people feel completely unstoppable on that platform. Like to a degree, some people don't feel unstoppable on every platform, but on that one, people will take it to an extreme that I've never seen before. And that's what I don't like about it.
Hmm.
I even find on Instagram too, you get a lot more negative comments rather than positive. But Threads in a whole has been mostly positive. And I've also noticed that if you push or post negativity, your stuff doesn't get pushed in the algorithm at all.
Notice that
Yeah,
too.
but
That's a fact.
Mark made a statement about it because that was his goal of this app. He wanted to change the social media game because he saw how like dark everything was getting. Um, but yeah, I mean it's cool, and I've also learned though, like when I have had the trolls in here, because I used to let it stop me, right? Like that's why I talk about fear so much. I used to be like, oh, this guy said I fucking suck at rap, so I'm never gonna make a rap again, like just get all in my pity pot, and it's like
Yeah.
it's not for everyone, but guess what? The three people that said, yo, this is dope, they like it.
Yeah. And that's all that
You
matters.
you know, so and like I've posted threads that don't go. And it's like, okay, I thought it was funny. Not everybody did, and it's like, but it doesn't matter. Like, I don't care as much anymore, especially with like strangers, man. I mean, the opinions that should matter in your life are like your loved ones, the ones that are closest to you, your homies, like, and even then, like if you feel a certain way or you feel a drive to get something done and they don't believe in you, because trust me, like a lot of people in my close circle, I'm not gonna do shout outs or like threads is a waste of your time. Like most of my family. And
Not
I'm
for
like,
everyone.
yeah, I don't agree with that. And if it does shut down and here's the cool thing. I learned a lot about myself, about people, about social media, about love. So you can't really take that away.
Mhm.
No, you can't. Final question that I really want to ask you is what's long term for you? Because everybody has a plan on this platform and being around for a long time. Some people have already jumped ship, but for you specifically, I just want to know long term speaking, where do you want to be? And not just in life, not just on threads, but like overall, you as a person and the message you want to spread. What does that look like for you long term?
The future, I mean, is that what you're asking? Like in general, like who do I
Yeah,
want to
in
be?
general.
Like where do I want to be?
Yeah, everything included.
I think just this may sound so cheesy, and I'm so sorry, but this is what came to mind. Um, I just want to be like every day, man. Like I just want to become a better version of myself. Right? There's still a lot of things like, yeah, okay, I got sober. Yeah, okay, I got this, but I still got a ton of bad habits. I still got a ton of things that every time I do them in my life, I'm like, hey, you should stop doing this. And I don't, right? Like I'm not perfect. And I think the message that who I want to be, what I want to spread on the platform, like I like humor, I like dropping memes and funny stuff because I want to cheer people up, but it's always helping people. So I think my long-term goal is to let everybody know that every single individual in life has a purpose that's probably different than somebody else. Yeah, it could be in the same category, but we all have different talents and I don't know, different identities to make that work, right? So I think it's showing people that it's helping people find that, or helping people get sober. You can't compare, like you said, but I don't know. It's just always supporting people, man, and trying to help people get out of any dark times, mental health, you know, like anything really,
I love
doubt in
that, bro.
themselves because
I love it.
we all got a good monster. I don't know if you listen to Jordan Peterson talking about motivational
Yeah, of
speaking.
of course. He's a fellow
Yep.
Canadian. I love him.
We all got this positive, like we got this monster in us, right? To become who we want to become, but we have to, it's discipline, man. And I'm so bad at discipline because I have been my whole life, but I'm just trying to work on that and just be the best dad, the best, son, the best husband, the best whatever, you know, in every way that I can. And by the time I die, I probably won't hit 100% in any of them because we're not perfect, but just to motivate people, man, to like do what they want and don't listen to the rest. Like, don't listen to the hate. Don't listen to, if you don't want to be a doctor and your parents are pushing you, don't be a fucking doctor.
That's
Go be a
correct.
singer.
Be what you want to be.
Exactly. Unless it's going to be super detrimental and, like doing drugs or something, but positive stuff, right?
Yeah, you always want to look at the positive outlook.
hmm Because the world's
Absolutely,
dark. We need more positivity, like more positivity spread, bro. So,
for real. I think that's why, I think it's part of the reason we all interacted and met, through that
yeah,
positivity. I've
for
got
sure.
one more question for you.
All right.
What's your dream, like destination? Where would you most want to travel if you had no limit on spending travel time? Where would you most want to be? No limits
Well,
on people also.
this is a bittersweet answer, right? Because of what just happened in Maui. But Maui's always been my spot, right? Um, I I go. You can still hear me, right?
You're good.
Okay. I used to go every year for a long time, and then I just went in June, right before the fire happened. Literally, I was there in June. For my 8 years sober, I get my chip at this little like shack on the beach, man. And I hope it's still there, but I'm not entirely sure it is because it's close to Main Street. But the goal was to always be in a tropical spot like Maui or Hawaii. I love Hawaii personally, and just be able to create content really, um, to help people, to push positivity, and like chill on the beach with my family. Like that's always been my goal. It's like my peaceful place.
Mhm.
No, exactly, and that's it looks awesome. I've never been to Hawaii, but it looks pretty incredible. Minus obviously what's going on right now, and prayers to them.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
very
Prayers
sad,
and
but
it's
Hawaii in a
awful, dude.
whole looks like a beautiful place. I also have one more question for you, and then I think we're gonna wrap that up and then just jump into our own
Perfect.
little questionnaire. But if you had one more piece of advice for anyone listening, what would it be?
All right. I'll say for threads, don't be scared. Just post what you want, as long as it's not too crazy, right? Because we all know the guidelines on threads. If you're too explicit, too mean, like don't do that stuff. But if you got a talent that you believe in, do it. Just post it.
Preach.
Like I posted a rap 2 weeks ago, and it got like I usually get a decent amount of engagement on my posts, right? It got like 78 likes. My mental health awareness thing with James Photography got like 72 likes, talking about like men speaking up about their problems or anyone speaking up about like wanting to commit suicide, right? And it may not be popular,
Right.
it may not be the thing, but if you believe in it, do it anyways. Like, cause I'm writing a rap now and I'm gonna drop it, and like, who cares if it gets 50?
I
Like,
love
that's
it.
crazy. If I post on Instagram, bro, I'll get 2 from my homies in real life.
Yo, just to pop in on that. I know you said you rap, and Royal, don't you make beats? Isn't that a thing?
Nah, I don't make
Or you
beats.
rap? You rap.
I rap. Yeah,
Oh, so we all should get on a
Hey,
track, is what you're saying?
yeah.
I mean, I'll repost it, but actually, I'm not gonna repost. I'll actually just create the post again. Um, but that's the thing. It's like I think people are afraid to be themselves on social media because they're scared to lose followers. And I did lose followers, you know. But who gives a shit, right? Like, what makes you happy?
Exactly.
And I would say that's my final piece of advice um, in general in life. Do what makes you happy. Life is short. Life is short. We don't know if we're going to die. I could die in 2 hours from now. You know what
Bro,
I mean?
and that's the crazy part. You could literally walk outside and get hit by a car tomorrow, and it could all be over. So you should live life to the fullest every single day.
Right. And we've seen this now, right? Like, usually most people think, oh, I'm going to live till I'm old and die of natural causes. And it's like, how many people have I lost to fentanyl? How many people have I lost to car crashes? All in their 20s, right? And now we see, since the pandemic and all these other things, right? There's like people my age, 29, 30, dying left and right from physical problems, like heart problems. Like, what? So it's just counting your blessings, and be happy and live in the moment, which is really hard, but that's my final advice.
Well, I thank you for that. Everything you've said today has been absolutely inspirational, beautiful, all that good shit. And I wish you well on your journey, because the journey of any recovering addict is never over. As I always say, we never stop being an addict. We just get better every
Right.
single day.
Exactly.
So, I thank you for that. Thank you very much for sharing your life story with us. That type of vulnerability is something we all really respect here. And yes, we enjoyed having you, Taylor, and we will probably have you again at some future date. I can almost guarantee that. You've been a phenomenal guest to have here.
Yeah, we
sure.
we all thank you very much, and I also appreciate everything you've done here today with us. And I also agree that sometime in the future we should have a one person podcast where we do the whole thing, because this has been fun.
Yeah, we got to dive
Yeah.
in more into some of the things you talked about.
Yeah, I appreciate you all for having me on this, and being able to make it work, even though I'm on the phone and I struggled a little bit at the beginning. But I appreciate all of you, and even though we've never met in real life, like there's a bond here.
Someday.
Yeah, no, we're gonna
That
throw a. Well, I'm obviously not gonna party, but we're gonna party
Bruno's
in the
not invited
future,
though.
and keep doing what you all are doing. You know what I mean? Like I try to support everyone that I can, and like I said, everyone's got their niche, everyone's got their own style, and it's all beautiful in its own way. And I appreciate. It's an honor to be able to come on here. I appreciate it.
Awesome.
Yeah, we appreciate you,
bro.
Taylor.
Awesome.
All right, guys.
All right,
Thanks
guy.
for giving us your time today.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank
Of
you.
course. Have a good one.
You too, brother.
You too, bro.
All right. So, my lovely host, how are we doing today? How's everybody feeling? Anybody threading while we're doing this podcast right now?
I am not threading right now, if
I'm
I'm
not.
being totally honest.
If I'm being honest, I did thread once.
Did
I
you?
popped on real quick and then
Yeah, I took a picture of the Discord screen and I was like, let him cook.
Yo, did you guys I don't know. Did you guys notice that I've just changed my whole like weekend schedule up?
Yeah, I did.
I haven't. Well, tomorrow I'll go back to like the regular programming, but on weekends I think I'm just gonna chill and just do like minimal.
Yo, like I was away this whole weekend. I was at a family reunion, so I didn't even really pop in on Threads that much, only a few times, and it was the first break that I've taken since the first day of Threads. It was a little weird,
Goddamn.
but yo, my family reunion was great. It was popping. We had a great time.
That's
I
lit,
got to
bro.
meet.
Where
That's
was
always a
that
fun
at?
time.
We were actually right outside of Philly in Horsham, Pennsylvania,
Nice,
at
That's lit.
Nishamini State Picnic Park. Yeah, it was pretty dope. Yeah, got
nice.
a comprehensive family history. I got another trip to make now. There's a highway marker for one of my relatives that we just found out about. That's going to be happening in October. That's a whole different story. That's something.
Something for
Yeah,
later to
but
dive into, but
yeah,
that's
we
awesome, man.
learned very, very deep family history. It's always good to see people and that you care about and things like that. And just like Taylor mentioned in his uh like the last question we asked him, you never know when you're gonna see people again. So you cherish those moments where you get to see family members and your friends and things like that. And
100.
it's really important that you are in the moment. This is the particular time in our lives, and just not in our lives, in society where we're just bombarded with notifications and information all day. You need those quiet moments.
Well, yeah, you can't, bro. You can't get burnt out. Like I go pretty hard during the week, and like I've just noticed that if I go hard on the weekends, I just don't get to recoup. So even today I slept like half the day, and it felt great. You know what I mean? Like I love it, and taking it slow is a best way to obviously not like disconnect fully, but just taking it a little slower so you have a little downtime to recoup is a great way to look at it.
Mm-hmm.
Disconnecting fully sucks. It's so hard to get back into it.
Well, yeah,
Connecting
With
fully.
anything. With anything. It's like then you get too comfortable and you're like, well, I could take one more day. Then one day turns into a week. And then it turns into nobody's seen you again for like a month or two.
Hermit mode for real, yo.
Dude, literally, it's so easy to just go into hermit mode, I swear.
Facts.
I
It has
hate
its
that shit.
purposes. It has
Oh,
its
for
purposes.
sure.
It does. Like for a job, I can do that. For all the shit that I love to do, I can't do that. I will like be gone for months on end. That's how I am with like video games and shit when I take a long break and then my friends haven't heard from me in like fucking like 6 months and they're like, where the hell have you been? I'm like, I'm sorry.
Bro,
I did not mean to be gone for that long.
I be doing that too all the time. Like once a good game comes out, or if I get into it, I'm gone. Like gone for the win.
Exactly.
Like I even was playing pretty hard of 5M when Threads dropped, and like I started like threading while I was playing 5M, and then I was like to the point where I was like crashing every 5 seconds, like because I just kept fucking threading. So I was just like, all right, I gotta take a break from this, and I haven't played a game since Threads came out. If I'm being completely
Oh my
honest.
God.
I get
You let
locked
it
into like
consume you.
a client project and it'll be like that, because there's a lot of stuff that has to be done, research and conversation. You almost like diving into someone's brain in so many ways, and it's similar to a video game in that aspect because you're trying to reach a common goal and
Not for
you
sure.
fail, you reach it, and coming out of it, it's great, but sometimes it's just like coming out into light after being in the dark for so long. Like just get me some fucking sunglasses, Thanks. Put me back in. No, I'll go back to the dungeon. Fuck that.
Oh, Jesus
Man.
Christ.
That's funny. So you guys want to bring in Bruno now?
Yes,
Let's,
as long as he's ready.
Yeah.
Is Mr. Bruno ready?
Bruno, are you around?
Are you ready?
Mike
Are
wants
you
we're
ready?
We're ready.
Oh,
the big
okay.
sexy, the man, the myth, and the legend, Bruno Gomez.
Yep, literally, quite
How's everyone
literally.
doing?
You weren't here.
You're the guy who basically started this podcast, just so you know, because you brought us all together.
You were also the guy that didn't show up last week.
Yep,
Cool.
that too. That too.
Yeah, that I'll own up to. I was on a flight.
He's
guys.
making up for it.
Come
He's
on.
making up for it this
What?
week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's fine. We're good. He gets actually
Exactly.
longer time now than he did last time, so it works out in
Beautiful.
his favor.
Beautiful.
Exactly.
Well,
So-
I won't talk your ears off. I'll
No,
just
talk our
answer
ears
questions.
off.
Oh,
Go
come
for
on. Got to introduce yourself. Let us know a little bit about Bruno.
Awesome. Well, first off, I appreciate all of you. You guys play a huge role in just this community and everything else. So my name is Bruno, 26. Birthday was in June, so now I'm 26. Um, I was born in Peru, Lima. My family brought me to the U.S. at the age of 4. Raised in New York my whole life. Moved out to Utah recently. Married, no kids. Little Chihuahua that we take care of, and just living life, man. Threading along. What more do you want to know?
What do you do for a career? That's what I really want to know.
Let's dive into it. So I've kind of broken it up into 3 big pieces, but I like to consider myself an entrepreneur. I've opened several different brands over the years, from social media marketing to financial services to just consulting in general. Um, just helping individuals and businesses all around the US not only grow, but expand their reach as much as they could. I've also got into content creation quite a bit over the years. Took a couple classes in college, networked with a few different graphic designers, and just met a lot of people that were able to kind of direct me towards the best way to not only push content but deliver and send out information that people will appreciate. Because it's one thing to just spam a ton of pictures and memes and posts, and it's another thing to be a little bit more strategic and calculated, and as a result you reach a lot more people, and that's the goal of for me, is to get to know as many people as possible, help as many people as possible, and just leave the world better than I found it. And then the final piece is I do work full time still. I just don't make enough money yet to overcome the salary, but I do financial services. I basically help businesses get funding for whatever they need, whatever investment they're looking for, so that they can grow 2, 3, 4x. Um, but yeah, so those are the 3 big things that kind of make up my day to day for the most part.
That sounds pretty
awesome.
cool. I want to know why, because like I swear to God, Twitter is like an entrepreneur's playground. That's where they all fucking muster up everything that they do on a daily basis, selling courses, teaching people about shit all the time. Why Threads over Twitter for you? Because honestly, in your industry, like Twitter is like the best way to get out there that I've ever seen for people who are entrepreneurs.
I agree. And I do have a smaller presence on Twitter. I haven't paid too much attention to it, but Threads has always been, since the beginning, just a great opportunity for me to get to know people. Because yes, I've started many businesses. I've had several exit strategies over the years, and that's all been through word of mouth and connecting with people locally. But I'm hoping to start collaborating and contributing to brands outside of my state, so out of Utah. And I feel the people on Threads are just so much more genuine. There's a lot more authenticity. So it's very easy for me to go into it, not just as a transactional experience, but more of a relationship building experience. Because the people that you want to work with are people that you like working with, I feel like, right? Because there's 2 ways to look at it. But I prefer to just enjoy the movement, enjoy the campaigns, enjoy the projects that are being done. Because then at the end of the day, you're doing it with a lot more passion, a lot more fulfillment. And as a result, customer satisfaction just comes naturally. So, whatever business that I end up running in the next 6 to 12 months, I want to do it with people that I've made friends with on Threads, because the people here are just positive. Their outlook on life is just in a much better place, and they're not as transactional as some people are on Threads or on Twitter. I'm sorry, where people are just trying to push their courses. They have other narratives or other agendas behind why they want to connect with you. While as on Threads, people are just vibing, getting to know one another, you know, making it feel a lot more homey than an office. And so that's really where I come from with why Threads. And I've enjoyed it. I don't regret it one bit. I think Threads has been a great experience. I've met all of you, and you guys seem to also have life figured out to a certain extent, and I appreciate that. And that really helps me as I as they find out what to do next.
And we all appreciate you, Bruno. Don't you worry about that. You know, you're a great person.
Yeah, and I think, all of our collective experiences, we can learn something from one another. I know we've all, no matter the age, no matter where we are with our individual occupations, there's something that we can learn from one another, just even from, as Taylor, one of the things I've always picked up from Taylor as Paleo honed in on is vulnerability. Bruno, what do you want to be known for as far as like your presence?
So, yeah, no, thank you for that. And I think for me, I want to leave a lasting impact on just not only threads, but the world in general. And the best way that I know how to do that is by being myself, by continuing to develop myself, and get to know the right people so that we can create projects, we can create movements that will just deliver on that 100%. I want to be known for for what I've done, my accolades, the effort that I've put in, to be seen as an example to other people coming in, the masses of younger generations that may not be as fortunate as we are with the resources that we have, or maybe they are, but they just don't know how to use them, and just be kind of that guiding light for people that are looking to take that next step or move to that next level in life where they can actually feel the success, the happiness, and the fulfillment that comes from working hard. And so that's really what I want to leave behind is really that
It's very
that level of
beautiful.
life.
That's amazing. I love it.
No,
I
I love
think
it too.
it's really important that, I mean, not that we identify what it is that we have a sense of a North Star because it can change along the way, what you want to be known for. I mean, some of the greatest people that we look up to they've had various paths. Some people started out in one occupation, end up in another, and then they learn things along the way. And I think one of the best quotes I've heard from Steve Jobs was that you can't figure out all of the steps. And this is not the verbatim quote, but you can't figure out all of the steps moving forward, but you definitely can looking back. You know.
You know who's someone that I'm gonna highlight right there is Robert Downey Jr.
Mm,
His past to future is immaculately different, and it tones in on like me, Peleo's, and Taylor's past as well because he was also in the similar boat.
yeah.
I'm very happy you mentioned him because I forgot to mention him when we were talking to Taylor. 'Cause that's exactly who I was thinking about the entire time when we were talking about Taylor's journey and shit like that.
Not yet for sure. He literally just
Easily.
popped in the head.
Yep, exactly. So, what I want to ask Bruno next is, you kind of brought us all together in these group chats, this Discord, and everything like that. Obviously, you have a ton of ideas, but what's the end game for what you're doing here? Long term, what is your most important value that you want to instill in the entire community?
Great question. So for me, I just want to normalize positivity and bring back, the 80s, the 90s joy that people used to have, right? Where it lasts a lot longer, it's a lot more impactful, there's a lot more influence in the world for the greater good. Um, because nowadays, you can complain one day and that complaint will last you a whole week. But if you have a good day or you have a good experience with someone or something that you did at work, the feeling dies away pretty quickly because we're clouded by all this negativity and all this drama that we see, uh, either on social media or just in the real world, right? And so what I want to instill with everybody that's a part of this community is that this is a safe environment where you can truly be yourself, you can truly express yourself, feel welcomed, and be in a position where now you are a lot more creative. You're a lot more of a visionary or an idealist that can take those ideas a step further with the people you've now created friendships with. Whether it be starting a project, working on a business idea together, or just, taking that next step and building those relationships so that you feel better about yourself. So insecurity, it'll eventually you know, fizzle away, which is hard to say, right? Because these are all issues that have been going on for years and years and years. But that's the vision here, is to, you know, at least have a small community of maybe 1-2% of the population in the U.S. and make it so that these people can have those seeds of positivity planted inside their hearts, so that they can continue to spread that. And
Yeah.
that's really it. I mean,
And
go ahead. Sorry.
no, you're good. When we came together, and I think that's something we should talk about as well, because when me, you, and Noel like got into that group and we discussed what we want, we seen a very similar plan. So that's why we all came together and brought together the Discord.
Hmm. Absolutely. And I think the biggest thing is we just want people to start loving each other again, because there's been this huge disconnect, either through social media, through you know, media channels in general, or just how we were brought up, where we need to be a lot more cautious, or a lot more, um, I guess you can say, a lot more aware of certain things, and we classify people so quickly without actually giving them a chance, or without actually getting to know people. So this is where people of different ethics, different backgrounds can come together and ultimately get to know each other for who you really are, see each other's true colors right away,
For
and
sure.
not hide anything. And
For
if you
sure.
decide that that's not where you want to be, or you decide that, hey, look, I'd rather be someone that I'm not, and I choose that path for myself, okay, great. You know, that can be you, but that's going to be outside of the community. The people in here,
Exactly.
fully inclusive, fully, you know, aware of the expectations going forward, which is be vulnerable. You know,
Exactly.
find time to truly be yourself. And you, believe it or not, like, it's the best thing that you can ever do for your life going forward.
Not for sure. And you know, I can't speak on Paleo and Royals for this, but you know, I think that's part of the reason why we wanted to bring everyone onto the podcast, because it also gives people another outlook on who they are as a person. And just like you know, everyone knows each other on Threads, but nobody gets to listen to anyone or you know hear personal thoughts. So this just gives everyone you know an opportunity to speak, and people then can listen in and you know see what people are actually like versus just online on Threads.
You touched on something really important when you talked about vulnerability, and I think that's a common theme. And I come from a background that vulnerability is not something discussed or anything at all. I come from a neighborhood where vulnerability is very dangerous. You know what I mean? I grew up in New York City in the early '90s, where there was a law in place that I found out as an adult that had me uh, uh, approached several times by law enforcement. You know what I mean? Just because I was a certain age, and vulnerability in a black household is mental health. At the same token, it's not discussed. It's like, oh, just walk it off and figure it out. And my path, it ended up, you know, really back to myself and learning that in 2020, I really sought out therapy for a lot of things I went through, and it's stuff with family and things like that. But I think the vulnerability gave me um, a more empathic look at life, and how I connected with people on an individual level from a like a resonance standpoint. You know, I just got deeper into things with others and learned about other people, and that vulnerability we all share in just different aspects and different parts, and it's really something that I really feel blessed that Threads is able for me to bring out, even if it's little by little. It's something I feel is extremely important.
100%. Because, you know, I come from the background that, you know, if you can learn to be more vulnerable, then inspiration will come a lot more naturally to you as a person. And that'll come to you however you want it to, whether it's with content, whether it's with business branding, whether it's with just knowing what to say to people during their time of need. I think that is huge, right? It goes back to empathy. When you're vulnerable, you can be a lot more empathetic, a lot more sympathetic too to certain people's situations, and start seeing things from the other point of view, and putting yourself in the shoes of that person, rather than thinking that you know that you know what they're going through, right? And I think that comes very easy to people that just have a natural ego. And so escaping the egotistical mindset requires vulnerability, requires you to be a lot more humble, and requires you to just be in that position of you know, I guess you can say weakness, right, to some extent. For context, I think it's important people know, some of us are just, we're born in humble circumstances, and some of us are not. Some of us are more blessed, more fortunate. For me, um, when my parents immigrated, my my siblings and I to the U.S., um, we we lived in very humble beginnings. We had to get a home project housing in New York. We lived that way for over 10 years. I just went to public schooling, and my dad had to work 2 to 3 jobs and cycled through them every year or two. So it was tough for them, and they never truly understood to this day the system in the U.S. And so knowing that, I had to basically be quick on my feet and learn things for them, because number one, language barrier. Number two, economics were just not understood fully, and they had spent essentially their last dollars to get us to the U.S. On visa. And then over the years, thankfully, my dad's work ethic was instilled in me. Worked out, it worked out for the best of everyone in my family, and now we're in a much more fortunate position. But I say that because that humbling experience that I had for the last 12, 13 years of my life allowed me to be in a much more vulnerable state of mind, that allowed me to help a lot of people along the way. And so back to the question we had, where what's my end goal with all of this? It is to truly just be a helping hand for anybody that needs it. Because there's one thing, I don't want to help people who don't want to be helped, because to me that just doesn't seem like a good use of my time, right? But I do want to help people that are reaching out, that are raising their hands and saying, "Hey, I need someone," or "I need this." Perfect. Here's a resource that I can help you with. Thankfully, with this community that we've built, there's people with so many different backgrounds, not only where you're from, but what you're good at and your talents, your abilities. And that can be helpful to others that may be struggling. I think back to an experience I had where there was a friend of mine. He had just come home from serving uh, a religious ecclesiastical mission for 2 years, and so he gave up work, he gave up school, he gave up his family for 2 years, came home from Chile to Utah, and he had no money for school. He had to find a job, so he started working at McDonald's, which was the quickest job he could get. And then he had no car, no transportation, so he had to borrow a friend's bike every week so that he can travel to work and then travel to school. And he just had to start over fresh because his family, they weren't in a fortunate position either. They're from Texas, and so that was a struggle in itself for him because he had to basically start fresh, start new, um, in a state where he knew nothing. And so that reminded me a lot of the experience that my family had when they brought us from the States. So I'm like, no, I'm gonna help this guy. And so as a result, I started doing my research and figuring things out, helped him bring up his credit score so he was able to actually, have good credit going forward. And then I was also able to help him revise his resume, work with interviewers, work with recruiters, and got him a better paying job at Wells Fargo, where rather than making $11 an hour working the night shift at McDonald's, he was able to make about $18 an hour working at Wells Fargo part time. And that was able to give him enough time to work and go to school at the same time. His credit over time was able to work itself out. I co-signed with him to get him a car, and while he was in school, he was able to get a car. He was working a good job, and he had enough money from that job to afford his semesters at college. And so now, fast forward the next 3 years, he's now a game caster. He goes around the U.S. and just commentates for different video game contests and different things like that. I don't know much about the space, but he's worked with people who've worked with the FaZe Clan, for a bunch of well-known gaming companies. And he's out of college now. He graduated with his bachelor's degree in marketing, and he has not complained one bit to me about money. Right? He's in a better position. He's debt free. He worked it out. Right? And so for me, that's like amazing. It's a success story that it wasn't just my help because he had to make decisions for himself along the way, and he had to work his ass off to get to where he is. And through that, he was able to figure out that he's a lot better at communicating with people, became a commentator for video games, which he's played his whole life, and he loves it. He's really good at it, and gets paid really well doing it. And so, rather than making $18 an hour, he gets paid anywhere from 3-4 grand per game that he's able to attend, and gets flown out. It pays his transportation, his hotels, everything, and he keeps in contact with me all the time, um, with everything else. And so that's kind of what I want this to become as well. I don't want to be the only voice. Shout out Paul, but I do want to make it so that other people can have those experiences here, and be a witness to that. And that may be a little bit long-winded, but that's kind of it, man. It's really, that's the whole reason behind all of this, is so that there's many more success stories to come after the fact, just like his and just like mine.
Well, that was a good spiel and very inspiring, to be honest. And it just shows that, the comeback is always bigger than the setback. And that's something that I hold very near and dear to my heart, because I've had many setbacks, but you always have to make the comeback a lot better than anything else. So it's good to hear actual stories of that happening and people putting it into practice, which is something that I love. So thank you for that. I haven't heard a really big inspirational story like that in a long time. That's very, very nice to hear.
Super dope. Yeah. I want to change the pace a little bit. Bruno, you like clothes? You fashion? You like buying, getting fresh?
Yo, I bet you he's a sneakerhead.
No, I used to be.
Of course.
I used
Of course
to be
he is.
crazy. I had maybe I rotated anywhere from 100
You had
to
some
100.
Travis Scotts for sure.
No, so back in middle school, high school, like I said, I had to figure things out for my family, and thankfully I did. And then I ended up working 2 jobs as well, just like my dad. And I made a lot of tip money from being a server at a Pizza Hut, because they had Pizza Hut buffets and restaurants in upstate New York. And so with the tip money, I would just buy myself a bunch of sneakers every week. So back then, no Travis's, but I had a ton of Jordan 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s.
What was your favorite type of pair?
For me, it was the Breads. Back then, it was the Breads, and then the Concord 11s came second. I really like those.
What's the weirdest thing you have in your closet?
Right now, I had to liquidate a lot of my assets.
I don't want to know
bro.
that. I don't think I want to know that.
I
right?
definitely want to know that.
We all
want to know it.
Look at in the mirror and be like, "Yo, I'm about to pull this off." I know I'm not supposed to, but I'm about to do this. Yeah.
I know Bruno's
like,
got some weird things in his closet. All right.
I used to have, so Google these. I used to have the Poodle Jeremy Scotts.
I know what those are.
Oh,
And I also used to have.
What are
I
those?
also used to have the teddy bear Jeremy Scotts too.
Yo, should I pull those up? What are those?
No, you don't
Yo,
want to pull
what are
these
they
up.
called?
No,
To the
they're
Barbie?
so bad.
Up to the Barbie
No, what are
premiere
they?
in these, fam.
They're so bad.
What?
Yo, what
They
were they?
look
What were they?
terrible.
The poodle what?
They called the
Poodle
Adidas
Jeremy
JS
Scotts.
Poodle. Yeah,
Those back in the day, Jeremy Scotts used to be what Mischief is today.
Yo, you talking about these pink things?
Yes.
Yeah.
The
Stop.
pink
Pink things.
Stop.
Straight
Those are
Pepto, baby.
dude. What
Isn't it
the
crazy?
hell are these?
What
Who would
are
be
these,
caught in
bro?
those?
Are you trying to say what are those?
Yes,
are
what are
those?
those? What the fuck? Oh, they're
Yo.
going for like $412 on StockX right now. What the actual?
Yo, tell me you
fuck?
did not rock those outside, Bruno. Did you?
He did.
Bro, I was tempted to wear those when I walked for high school to get my diploma.
No.
I was tempted
Oh
to
my
rock.
god! Thank God
Yo.
you did not.
You gotta remember also, yo, what's his name? ASAP Rocky made Travis Scott, not even Travis Scott, the Adidas Jeremy Scotts. He made
He
them
did.
popular from rocking them in the Peso video with the bones. So
Yeah.
everybody was trying to get these like 2011,
Yeah, the bones.
2013.
There's also the wings with the
Yep.
the dollar signs. They had a ton of them.
They had the multicolored wings. They had just the white wings. They had the gold ones. They had like so many different. And like you said, they're very much like Mischief now, like a troll brand, and they would just push the limits of what's possible with shoe wear, a lot of satire. But yeah, I
Yeah,
knew those shoes.
Mischief is literally just came out with the low top version of
The
the
Aircast.
the Aircast. Yeah, they're
Oh my
funny looking.
god.
Have y'all seen those
But
sneakers?
Nah.
Yeah, I have. But I just can't get
Yo,
over this poodle shit.
if-
There's literally a pair
if-
selling on eBay for $800.
No.
Who the fuck? Yes, it's a size 10.5 US.
I'm
Adidas
dropping
Jeremy
them. I'm
Scott pink
dropping
poodle
a
dog.
sneaker in the lounge just for later on.
Yo, I'm
tonight.
not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. I pulled up the picture so everyone will see it in the pod. But you know,
This is god awful. Oh my
Man.
god.
those.
Isn't it crazy?
I want to see picture of you wearing those, Bruno.
Yeah, we need a picture of that.
I have to go back into the vault find them.
Yo, I bet you that'll bang on Threads.
It would. No, but to continue that story, I basically liquidated a lot of my sneakers when I got to college because I went to college in Idaho first, and no one there knew anything about sneakers, so I just kind of quit there, sold a lot of my stuff to pay for school, and got into luxury designer at that point and stopped buying sneakers, started buying like a bunch of other stuff, which by no means does that consider me rich or wealthy. I just thought that I had more money than I actually did, and so I bought a lot of like
Are you talking about, like,
Balenciagas,
Spray bricks and
red
shit?
bottoms.
Red
No,
bottoms.
like
God damn.
yeah, like a ton of Balenciagas, a ton of red bottoms, a ton of
Oof.
Gucci sneakers too. I had a couple of those, some Aces, so a few different things, and then I ended up selling that too. So I've had like my phases with clothing and sneakers and whatnot, but
For sure.
Jesus Christ.
I,
Well, thank God you evened yourself out.
yeah, now
Because if you were
Now I'm
still
more of
wearing
just,
this
like-
shit,
yeah.
oh
I'm more of just
man.
loungewear now, to be honest.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
it's
Thank
really
God.
what I find is like the price is what you pay for the feeling. It's how it makes you feel at the end of the day. When you see a t-shirt that costs a certain amount of money, you may be like, "What the hell is that?" Because people wear t-shirts for comfort, and there's others
Oh.
that be like, "Oh, I find a sense of identity when I wear this particular brand."
Nah, for sure. I agree with that.
I feel that 100%. That's how I am with watches.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
watches.
Have to have a nice watch, I swear.
Yeah.
Dude, I
Yeah.
want to get into watches. Like
Watches
I,
are a big game, man. I have like 7. I don't have anything crazy, but I really love Citizen, Belova, and
Yes, Belova. That's my main piece right
Belovas are
now.
great.
yeah, Belovas are real nice. But that
In
they're all within my budget too. Like they're not too crazy.
In the watch world, I guess in New York, and maybe Royal can attest to it, but there's the Diamond District in the city,
In New York?
and yeah, New York,
Yeah, I see
and
Trax NYC. He's in there.
I used to
Tracks
work in the
NYC.
Diamond District, bro.
You
Oh,
work in the
nice.
Diamond District? That's
Yeah,
sick.
I know. Trax. Trax
Yeah,
was in
that's-
Do you
Uncut
know?
Gem.
Do you know
Hard.
Moses?
Who,
Moses the
Moses?
jeweler?
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
No
I used to-
way.
Is he?
I used to
Wow.
work. I don't know them personally
Yo.
because I was very much in the I'll explain another time.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I was
He's
working
the
for one
Mazal
of the
guy.
I know who
Yep.
he is. He's on TikTok.
I worked for one of the big
Yeah.
jewelers on the Diamond District at the time where they transitioned away from Aviani and went solo. And
That's crazy.
Yo,
there was a lot of
I always see Trax. He's always out there giving away free gold.
Yeah.
Trax is nuts, but he's
Fuck, I need to go out there.
I respect his hustle. As a matter of fact, one of the people on Threads is gonna be in his store, Gray Chenier, if y'all follow him.
Oh,
He's a
nice.
dope fashion designer, yo. I just came across him on Threads. I just saw his stuff and it was different, and I just loved it. It was like a cactus print puffer, and I hit him up. I was like, "Yo, New York puffers are like," and he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna be in New York next week." So he's actually gonna be there next weekend at
That's
Trax.
sick. That's
That is sick. See, the beauty of community, bro. That's what I'm talking about. What was I gonna say?
You're talking about Diamond District.
Yeah, Diamond District. No, they say the best starter watch, and it's no disregarding Belovas because I love them too. But they said the best starter watch for anyone getting into high end jewelry and watches would be a Cartier.
Yes. Yes,
I
that's
Absolutely.
I don't know if is that what they're saying right now.
That's what
yeah,
Moses said last, like maybe like a month
Is
ago.
that
He
for
said
like the
good.
money aspect? So like you
yeah.
just profit
In
more
terms
from
of
it?
like
Yeah, I guess what you're saying.
yeah, in terms of like luxury and like actual like non-designer, non-fashion shit, just in terms of luxury, best movements and shit like that, that's like the best starter you can get for like an actual decent price.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Cartier Santos.
Well, I think the most popular to start is a Rolex Submariner. Date
Mhm.
or
Yeah.
non-date. That's the most popular starter. My dad just
I
bought
have
one.
an interesting question for everyone. Do y'all know about the interesting business structure of Rolex?
Yes.
You
Mhm.
do. Okay.
I know
Okay.
that you basically, if you need to get it repaired, you got to get it repaired by an authorized retailer,
Yes.
Hmm.
and
Yes.
it costs you like $600-700 to get it fixed,
Yeah.
or
Yeah,
even
I,
it
just
does.
oh, I
yeah.
meant more that Rolex, the corporation, is a 503, so
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
the not-for-profit business comprised of 5 trusts, the Rolex Watch Corporation and several other Rolex trusts. It's such a interesting structure, and I don't mean that to say any. I don't mean that to sound accusatory in any way. I just think that it was just a really interesting outlook to take because they're not turning over a profit, and their product is appreciative in value. It's so incredible. I just
Yeah,
want
it
to.
That's
is. That's like one of the reasons why like right now you actually can't buy a Rolex anywhere.
yeah.
Well,
You
no.
literally you have to buy them secondhand because when I went to Florida last year with my girlfriend, there was actually a watch store in one of the malls. They had Rolexes on the showcase and everything,
Yeah.
but like they wouldn't take them off the showcase. You couldn't try them on. They had none in house. They literally said if you actually want one from us, it would be special ordered and it would probably be about 6 to 12 months out when
Yeah.
they would actually get it. The lower, even though like Rolex isn't low end, but like even the lower end shit that they have, you still can't buy just right then and there online or from any retailer.
No,
Your best
for
bet is to actually get it secondhand off of like eBay as long as you can verify that it's real and all this other stuff.
sure.
It's crazy to get a Rolex. It's
Well,
like so goddamn hard.
it's just I think they're just backed up like so much from Rolex that it's just silly.
Like seriously, even celebrities are having trouble getting them. Like if they want a customized piece or if they just want a piece, like they're even turning them away. They're like, you're gonna have to wait. Like it doesn't even matter how much of a big person, how much money you have or anything, doesn't matter what your connection is, like everybody's told to wait.
For sure.
And that just says a lot about them. Like they're all about perfection. They're all about having it work the way that it's worked ever since they started. So that just like
No, for
shows how
sure.
they care about the brand.
And I think don't high-end cars do that as well?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they do. Like
Ferrari,
Bugatti, all the other
Bugatti,
places.
and Lambos and
Yeah,
everything. Yeah.
yeah.
It's
It's
I
all
know
like
you can't buy a high end car unless you meet certain metrics too. Like it's not just credit score at that point. You have to actually be like a homeowner, and they have to verify your home address and everything prior to even letting you. I think it's either test drive or get approved for the vehicle.
Is that just from
Uh,
the like actual dealership or is that like third parties
that,
too?
yeah, that's from Ferrari's dealership,
Right.
at least here in Salt Lake.
no, it's the same way here in Cali too. Like it's like purchasing a home when you buy a high-end luxury car, which is why your best bet is to find someone who already has pre-owned it. Like my buddy bought a McLaren P1 and those have been discontinued for years on end and he bought it from I think he bought it for like I think maybe 1 million more than what they originally were selling for. Like that's how crazy the car market is, especially when it comes to luxury stuff. But once you have them, like especially with Bugatti, they're kind of like I'm pretty sure that's where like the fucking NFT Bored Ape Yacht Club got their fucking model from. It's like when you own one, you get access to everything that Bugatti does.
Yo,
That's
I
literally
got
how crazy it
I got
is.
a question for
They're
you guys.
really-
What would the like if you guys had a sports car, like a high-end sports car, what color would it be? Mine would be white.
Mine probably a matte black.
Oof.
Gotta
I
be
like
matte.
I like matte black too. I was curious. How would a matte white look like too?
Hard, probably. But
Every
the only thing about white
white?
and black is they get dirty so quick.
No gloss. It'll be white without any gloss, that shine that you get off the top of the hood over the corners.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I
So
do white, I would do like a glacier white. That's what I would do.
Glacier white. I like
Yeah,
that.
that's what I
taking
would do.
electric blue.
Ooh.
Have you heard
Ooh.
of the Stradman?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I would like a purple, like the purple that he has on it. on his Bugatti and the one he has on his Ferrari. I like that purple color too.
Yeah.
If I had extra money just
My
hanging around.
my favorite car would be a Bugatti, but I know like it'll probably never happen. But a Lamborghini is probably within my. It's like my second favorite.
I like the Bugatti that Bad Bunny drives. It's a white one.
Yeah. Is it the
I
newer
That
love
one?
that
The
car.
newer one? Is it the newer one or is it an older one?
I'm pretty sure it's a new
I,
one.
I like the new
I'd have to
ones. The one with the different body style. They look nuts.
Yeah,
They
his is
do
like
look nice.
white with black trim. It's pretty nice.
Oh, that
Big
sounds so
fan.
nice. I'm not even like a big new car type of guy. I love classics. That's the shit that I'm into. All day.
You know what?
Classics are dope too.
What car I would get to is the Frank Ocean BMW, the orange one, from the music.
Ooh, now that one is fire.
That would be hard.
I saw
Oh.
that same model car driving across State Street in Salt Lake the other day, but it wasn't orange. It was like a blue, like a navy, like a dark blue color. With
Now
the
that
same
would be
body,
fucking
everything.
sick. That would be so sick.
So
Fuck, I want one of those
I-
down too.
yeah, no, for sure. Let's do some closing points and then we'll just wrap up real quick because we're going in on an hour and 15 minutes now.
Oh shit, really? Damn.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. It only felt like 20 It only felt like 20 minutes.
Yo,
I swear I feel like we've only been talking
honestly,
for 20 minutes.
I looked down and I was like, we're probably at like 45 right now. And I was like, an hour and 15. I was like, sheesh.
Jesus Christ. Oh fuck. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
anyways, I think the last thing I want Bruno to just talk about is last question. Jesus Christ, we asked all the good questions. This
Let's
is
ask him
hard.
the same question we asked Taylor. What if you have any advice for anyone listening? What would it be?
Man, it's persistence trumps talent 9 times out of 10. So if you're able to just be persistent with one thing and stick to that one thing for a long period of time, long duration of time, trust me when I say that it pays off, or it will at least become a lesson worth learning over time, right? For me, it took me many trial and error to actually get to the point where I'm at today, where I feel good and I have passion for what I do. But I had to go through the entire exercise. Like, I had to do it. People are trying to find the quickest way to become rich or the quickest way to become successful, and I get it. I appreciate the ambition, but most times these billionaires that you see on TV or that you see on Forbes that have made a ton of money, it just took them persistence. That's really the first thing that's required for any person that wants to be successful, is be persistent with one act or one thing that you want to do for a long duration of time, and trust me, it'll pay off. Another piece of advice that's really helped me over the years is just, do things that you love. And if you don't know what you love, then you really need to just do some soul searching and develop your persona even further, whether that be creating healthy habits like going to the gym every day, or taking cold showers, or manifesting in the mornings, reading books, watching podcasts, listening to podcasts, whatever that looks like for you and what you feel you would enjoy doing, do that and do it consistently. Goes back to persistence. And once you've developed your persona, you've developed your character, who you are and who you believe that you are, then go out and attack the things that you love. And when I say attack, I mean pursue them. Pursue them 100%, both feet in. And if you're able to do that, trust me when I say the results will transcend. Everything will just fall into place. Things will get better over time. Be patient. Because I'm only 26 and I'm debt free. I have the cars that I want and I need at this point in time in my life. I have a home. I'm hoping to buy another one before the end of the year, and my family as well. They're debt free. They're hoping to close on their first home pretty soon, and my siblings all have full rights for college as they pursue their careers going forward. So thankfully, I was able to take care of a lot of that for them, and that just came from persistence, having passion for the things that I do, and doing it for a long time, and everything just starts to fall into place. Believe it or not.
I love that, brother. We appreciate you coming on the podcast too, and we appreciate all your advice and everything you do here.
Yes, sir. You guys are awesome. Keep killing it with the podcast, and yeah, if I can do anything to help get this to more people, happy to do so.
Love to hear it. Awesome having you. Thank you very much, Bruno, for being here today. All righty, boys. So now,
Always a pleasure, Bruno. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you
All
very
right.
much, Bruno.
Have a good night, everyone.
Yeah, good night.
thank
everyone.
you. Awesome. Well,
So-
so that's episode 2 right there in the
Yeah,
books.
that
A lot
was-
more
that was
flowy.
lit.
Yeah.
Exactly. No
Yo.
nerves, no nothing like that. So much more
Mhm.
flowy than
Yeah.
before.
Oh,
I didn't have the mic in my mouth this time, like the first episode.
Yo, nobody was nervous. We were actually just like on the ball. It was
Exactly.
Good. It was
Whole
good.
time. Whole
And
time.
I actually really liked how we did it, like how I put the stage in here this time, so people can actually listen in. Next time I'll figure it out for the whole kick thing. I don't know if kick's just down or what, but it was just every 2 seconds it was like connecting, disconnecting. So I just had to turn it off.
Not so good. I watched a few streams. People were having laggy shit happen to their streams too. So
Yeah. But
That's all
do you
good.
guys have anything final to say before I close this off, and then we can regroup?
No,
Royal, anything from you?
absolutely. I think anyone that's listening, or if you're listening now or later, we try to be very strategic about the guests that we bring on because we want to highlight people from our community. So whether you're listening to this live or you hear it later, if you feel that you have something to share and you want to share that message with us, please just hit us up on Threads or Instagram. I don't think there's DMs on Threads yet, but right now would be a great time for everyone to drop their Threads handles, just in case anyone wants to reach out for potentially a guest. But I want to give a big shout out and gratitude to Taylor Garrey and Bruno Gomez for being our guests this week.
Yes, a round of applause, guys. Let's go.
Yes, huge round of applause.
Yeah,
Love it.
Huge one.
I just would like to say thank you to everybody who's been tuning in. We know that the last, pretty much how we started this was very rough. It was kind of, like spur of the moment type of shit, but I think we finally found, I think we've gotten into our own little groove here, and that's what means a lot. And everybody who tunes in, you guys are fucking awesome. The Threads fam is unbeatable. We are literally the strongest community out there.
It's facts. And I also want to say thank you for everyone listening. It's been a pleasure for us to even do this. And like Pilio said, over time we'll get better. There were a couple hiccups this morning at the start of it, but everything's gonna progress into something better, and we'll just get better over time. So,
All right,
Alrighty, sounds good.
all right, guys.
Paul.Pilio on Threads. I am Royal R Lee all together like that, the letter R, and I am Adam Jeremy all together, no spaces.
Gang,
You
gang,
can
go
find us
follow
on
us.
Threads. Please
Oh
hit us
God, go
up.
follow us.
But thank you for listening this week for sure.
All right, thank you, guys.